6 months ago, I made a mistake. A mistake that would change the course of my life forever. At the beginning of my senior year of high school, I was planning on becoming a psychiatrist, mostly for the money, but neurology and behaviorism has always fascinated me and continues to fascinate me. However, there was a conflicting emotion and a growing passion at the time, one whose roots were trying to find fertilized ground in a barren desert. This passion slowly grew into something I could no longer squelch and ignore. And after watching Fast and the Furious, I knew that automobiles had become my inevitable passion and the bane of my life. So with the budget of $3,000 that my parents gave me to select a car for me for high school that would still be theirs, but I would have the privilege of driving, I bought the first manual car in the area that they could afford. I remember showing off to my friends, and I thought it was the coolest car on campus. It was a yellow Chevrolet Cobalt SS. Now the paint was peeling and it looked like a peeling banana, but I loved it. It was my first remotely cool car, and I had never even seen a car or drove a car that was smaller than a sedan. So I drove that car hard, as if it was an FIA WEC car. And in the end, I inevitably blew the motor during a rev limiter pull in a tunnel. At least that's what I believe happened, because that was when the symptoms started showing up shortly afterwards. I couldn't say for sure, but anyways, the engine blew and my parents gave me two choices. They had got a new engine and I could put it in, which we all believed to be cheaper at the time. We were horribly wrong. Or we could just have a shop do it for us. But I had just watched Dominic Toretto and Brian O'Connor rebuild a Supra, and so I was like, you know what? I could do that. All I have to do is put in a new motor. How hard could it be? And so with 3 adjustable wrenches, 1 monkey plier, and a handful of American-sized sockets that I couldn't even use on the metric bolts, I set out to disassemble this car. And it wasn't even until I had mostly disassembled and almost dropped the subframe that I got a socket set from a pawn shop. Regardless, I made a series of YouTube videos that were very poor in quality. And even though my videos are a little bit higher in quality, they're not great now, so you can just imagine how bad they were. But I covered the process of the mistakes I made and me doing this, so if you're really interested, you can look on my channel and find those videos. Although I don't really recommend you doing that, I would just recommend you watch my most recent one. But regardless of all that, I stopped working on it as finals came, and I was still considering college at the time, and I wanted to do good on those. And then I went to work 800 miles away in Michigan, so I completely abandoned this project for like 6 months, which leads us to today, where I'm finally deciding to revive this project car that changed the course of my life forever and give it the new life that it deserves. What's up, guys, and welcome back to another beautiful day in Kansas. We just had a week where we had like record-breaking weather. It was like -8 degrees, and today it is 36 degrees, and so it straight up feels like summer. Anyway, my neighbor has a Cobalt SS supercharged, just like me, and I always see him driving it around. So I'm gonna go walk a couple blocks, and I'm gonna go ask him if I can look at his engine bay and take some pictures. Take a look, guys. The Cobalt SS is in sight. Now what you saw earlier was the time lapse of me moving this car out of the garage, flipping it 180 and moving it back into the garage, and that was actually in the future, and this is what I was doing after I saw the car. Now my reason for doing this was the car was currently in an unworkable area in the garage, and it was also taking up both bays, and I wanted to be able to park 2 cars in the garage again and also be able to work on this car, so I was moving it to the backyard. So let's go ahead, get off the hood, and do what we know needs to be done, and that is adding oil and adding transmission fluid.
Ride the road with thundering sound.
This is what I hate. What I'm shining that light on is the oil filter. And whoever the Chevy engineer was decided to stick a supercharger directly over it. So getting this out is gonna be a pain, and that's why I delayed this simple job for so long.
It's a covenant, we breathe and bleed. Fuel and fire we always need. On this asphalt, holy creed.
Well, I'm an idiot. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I was trying to use my 30mm socket and it needs to be a 32mm socket. Alright, it's now nighttime and we may have been soft locked from changing the oil and transmission fluid. However, there is one final thing we can do, and that is applying the serpentine belt. As you can see, it is not exactly on right now. Now you know what they say. There's nothing 1,500 foot-pounds of torque can't solve. Alright, all that's left to do is to refer back to some pictures and we'll throw this belt on. Yeah, so that actually didn't happen. It turns out that the tensioner was seized, so we're gonna have to figure out some other way to get the belt on. But in the meantime, I did figure out how to get that oil cap off, and it just involves doing some. Alright, sweet. I actually had the oil. We have Valvoline 5W30 full synthetic. Restore and protect, because I believe that this engine is going to need a lot of restoration. If this thing fires up first try, I am going to be more than surprised. We're not going to add the oil just yet, but we're going to at least add the oil filter. Behold, the new $2 filter. I say engine oil might be one of the most good smelling fluids a car has to offer, aside from fresh coolant. Rotten coolant, bad. New coolant, oh my gosh, it smells as sweet as honey. I could just drink that stuff all day. That should do it. And you guys also might be asking yourself, did I seriously click on this video to watch this guy change the fluids? Well, sort of. But you also have to remember that this car has been a project for 6 months. So if you really are that interested to see the rest of this build, you can go back for some of my oldest videos for long form car content. I gotta say, they're very cringe and they're very hard to watch. But if you're interested enough, you can go ahead and do that. I'm trying to improve my content, even though I still know it's pretty cringe and pretty rough and hard to watch.